guys, it's Cindy Lietz, your Polymer Clay Tutor. In today's PCT product demo, I'm going to show you how you can take a SugarVeil confectioner's mat, which is from the baking aisle for decorating cakes and things, and put liquid polymer clay into it and make these wonderful lacy, whether you do the leaf shapes or lace or all kinds of different shapes, but you can bake these out of the liquid polymer clay and have all kinds of really cool elements. Now, I was in the baking section and noticed these silicone mats and thought, I wonder if they'd work with polymer clay. And I wanted to make sure that they would be able to handle the heat. So on the back side, and I'll show you what these are all about actually. It shows it a little bit better here. But these mats are designed for cake decorating. So you take this special kind of icing that's got a lot of sugar in it, and it's you whip it up and you scrape it onto these mats, and then when you put it in the oven to dry for a bit, and then when you peel it away, you end up with these lace sheets that you can wrap around cakes. So they have all kinds of designs of these SugarVeil mats that you can get, and so I decided this one would be a good one to start off with because it was a nice small size and it had these neat leaves in it. So now I've got some here that's been baked. I wanted to leave it in here to show you how it worked. But I have got all these different brands of liquid polymer clay. I've got Fimo Liquid. I've got Kato Poly Clay. I've got different liquid Sculpies. This is the silver liquid Sculpey, gold liquid Sculpey, and pearl liquid Sculpey, as well as the regular translucent Sculpey, which is sometimes known as TLS, or translucent liquid Sculpey. And I wanted to test it in these mats, and it worked out really well. So first of all, I'm just going to show you what it looks like after it's baked. They pop right out really easily, and even if you get a little bit of a residue around the outside, it washes off really well just with a baby wipe. So I know it's kind of backwards order, but I wanted to show you that because I only had the one mat and couldn't show you after. Okay, so see how easily they clean up? So it's made of silicone, and it didn't say on the packaging, but I found out later on, right on the printed part here, it says that it can handle up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius, which is perfect for any of the polymer clays. There isn't one that bakes as high as that, so that I know of anyways. So it works beautifully for that. And I tried it with all the different brands and got some interesting results. Now, they turn out wonderful. They're just lacy, and I got so excited because I can see all kinds of really neat potential for this, whether you're using the large lace sheets. There's ones that look like doilies. These ones happen to look like skeletonized leaves. But I could see these being wonderful earrings. You could fill them with liquid clay and some color and get sort of a stained glass look. They would also be wonderful wings for little fairies, dragons, all kinds of stuff. There's a bunch of different shapes. The Fimo Liquid is the clearest. So I'm just going to show you, it came out the clearest and the whitest of all the different liquids. And it has a lot of flexibility to it. It is, because there's little tiny joins, marks in between each one here, they're not super tough. Like, they're not vulnerable, but that you could rip them. Here, I'll take one here and rip it for you and show you. You can kind of break it, but it takes a fair amount of work. So there would not be vulnerable in a situation where, like, you'd attached it to a figurine or something like that, because there's a lot of flexibility to it. But you may not want to add it with a jump ring on a bracelet or something where it could get caught and torn. But they're quite tough otherwise. They're not going to break easily. The Kato Liquid did something interesting. I baked these ones at an hour, and I mean, I wanted to test it to see if I could push it to the full hour like I normally do to get extra strength out of it. But they ended up actually just getting quite yellow and quite brittle. This one here was baked at a half an hour, and it's much better. Here, I'll put them up side by side so you can kind of see. Maybe against something white would show better. So this one was an hour, and it's quite brown and kind of brittle, and this one was a half an hour, and it's much better. The other ones were in for an hour, and they didn't seem to have that issue. And I was actually surprised by that result, because Kato Poly Liquid can actually handle going up at a higher temperature than the others. So I was surprised by that one, actually. Now here are a bunch of samples that look really cool that were done using a combination of the different metallic liquid Sculpies. So I kind of used a few different ones, and I'll show you how I actually made these in a sec. But this has got a little bit of pearl, a little silver, a little gold. I mixed them all together just to see if I could get like these variegated leaves, and they just turned out really, really neat. This one here is just the pearl, and I love how this one looks. It has, I think the pearl is perfect for this kind of thing. And then these ones here that have more of a kind of a frosted sort of look to them are just the plain liquid Sculpey. So they turn out really neat. I can see so much potential. I decided that it'd be neat to see what it would look like if you painted it with some Lumiere paints. And that turned out quite neat. I could see you coloring it with Copic markers. Anything that is polymer clay safe would work great on these, because they are now baked polymer clay. Now, it's super, super easy to do. You need practically no clay at all. But here, let me just put some in here for you. You just take, this is the liquid pearl. Just put a little bit on there. And I'll take a card here. This is not a credit card. This is just an old CNET card. And I'm just going to spread it in. And depending on how much, how deep and how many of the spaces there are, you'll need different amounts of clay. I noticed that these ones here took more clay. But it's hardly any. It's like a quarter or an eighth of a tablespoon. You just want to spread it in. It's a little bit like silk screening kind of, but in a dimensional way. All right, so you get it all in there, and then you want to make sure it's scraped right off. That way you're not going to get a bunch of clay sitting in the holes, for example. So the holes are clear because it's scraped it off properly. If you don't scrape it off properly, you're going to get clay sitting in behind the holes. And that's it. You pop that into the oven and bake it for, you could probably go just 20 minutes. I tested it at 30 minutes. It was just fine. I also tested it in an hour. That was fine, but I don't think it's necessary. It's a really, really thin piece. And you saw me clean it up. I just used a baby wipe. You can easily clean it up, even the parts that get a little bit dark on there. So I see a ton of potential. I'll put a link in the description that will where you can get some of these mats, because there's all kinds of them. There's lots of neat designs. I also think that these would be great baked first and then added on top of another base piece of clay, like say something with a Skinner blend in it or something like that. And I just think there's lots of neat potential for that. So go check it out. And you know, you don't have to stick to the polymer clay aisle when it comes to tools and supplies. You can look in the baking aisle too. There's lots of neat things that you can cross over into our cool medium. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, do let us know if you like this video. And don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe and all those cool things. And leave suggestions for future videos. If you've got any ideas, we'd love to hear them. All right, so we'll see you next time, and bye for now.